This ain't it! Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Farewell34, and today I'm here with my movie review for Escape Room, directed by Adam Robitel. Pretty much the story for this one is 6 adventurous strangers travel to a mysterious building to go and experience an escape room. Whoever wins will get a $10,000 prize. What first seems to be a fun time turns into a sadistic game for life or death. So the general concept of the film is nothing original. It's obviously been done before. It's sort of like another stab at that 2000s sort of thriller, you know, enclosed psychological horror, similar to Saw and its amalgamation of other films as well. It's just not as great as some of these other films that have come to pass, especially if you're looking for gore or more intense horror. This isn't it, Chief. This ain't it! It's got that PG-13 rating, but it does substitute a lot of the gore in those other films by doing things like more complex puzzles, riddles, and the rooms which they're trying to escape out of. And some of them are actually really cool. One of them in particular is about in the middle way of the film. They do really cool technique in terms of directing that I think Robitel does really well. For the most part, I think he does a good job directing this thing. From a production standpoint, it's done well, and that works for the concept that they're going for in this. Each room has its own theme and identity, and I mean, it works well with the characters, but one or two of them, you don't really get a clear idea of how they relate. An issue I had, though, is by the time we pass a few rooms, it starts to get fairly predictable and a bit of a chore, and they just sort of run through the last bit of them, which was a bummer. The characters in this film are decent at best. I mean, they're fairly one-dimensional, and the movie starts off with some of the perspectives of some of our characters that we get to know, but when we actually get the first introduction in the escape room when they're all ready to go, they just don't have very good chemistry. You know? It's like when we get there, they're all just like, they're not in the mood to be there, come off sort of as head asses. It almost sets the tone for it, you know what I'm saying? I get maybe shit's rough, right? But an escape room to me is supposed to have a little bit more fun, a little bit more of a thrill to it, and it's not there, and I think that sort of affects the tone and the feel as an audience member watching it. I've been to escape rooms before, and it's a lot of fun, a bit of a thrill, and a slight dash of horror in there because, you know, fucking walls are moving, lights are flashing. Also, there's a sequence in this movie, by the way, in case you're watching this, that has a lot of flashing lights for like a couple minutes. So I would be careful. Epileptic warnings. They probably should have one in this movie, because it was pretty long and it bothered me a little bit. It takes for the insanity and a little bit more of the emotional depth, a little bit of the emotion for the characters to even slightly warm up to each other. But even then, it's very minimal. Very minimal chemistry. It's just enough, but again, I think it dampens the fun for the audience. The last good thing I'd say is this movie is actually decently enjoyable if you don't go in with super high expectations and you know what you're going in for. It's nothing spectacular by any means, but it's engaging enough to find out what's next in this room, what's the shtick to it, who the next person is gonna die, how they're gonna die. So I think that's where this film is most enjoyable, and the fact that it's put together really competently, especially as a January movie with some of the plots and the ideas that they make you buy into. It could have been easily worse, like way worse. So I'll give the movie that. So like I said, this is an escape room themed movie. Really cool idea on paper, and the rooms are some of them are really cool, but after we get past a few, it just sort of feels repetitive. It just sort of feels like they're just, oh, next door, boom, you're gone. All right, cool, whatever, let's just keep it rolling. Occasionally, as the movie progresses, they dive into more backstories for each of our characters. They don't give you enough spread evenly throughout the film to give a damn. Plus, they're pretty one-dimensional and not very interesting, I'd say. And especially when they're not very likable. Performance-wise, I thought they were okay at best. I thought some of the performances were phoned in. Hurt this one, it could have been better. So once things start heating up, the suspense isn't really all there where it should be, and that was an issue for me as well. It works occasionally, but bad choices made by these characters, they're poorly written, and it often falls flat. So like I said, while the idea is fun, you think it'd be a little bit more enjoyable, but it actually drags, and some of the rooms are a little too long. Well, the absolute last thing about this movie, and I think it's really gonna make or break people's judgment on this movie, I think, is the last few minutes. So I have a few ongoing sort of threads throughout this film, And they make it really seem like they're gonna connect, and by the end of the movie you're like, oh wow, they're gonna show you this, or this is gonna be an answer. After one of the really good rooms just starts to just lose itself a little bit, and it's like, you know what, we got you engaged enough for the first half of this movie and the general idea, now let's just Hail Mary a sequel. Let's just fucking boom, let's just give you a sequel. Just start making these drastic changes that are sort of out of a little bit more out of what they were setting up in the film. But yeah, that's pretty much what happens. They sort of just slam in a couple things to line up a sequel for this movie. Will enough people watch this and make enough money for there to be a sequel? Maybe. Is it a cool enough idea that they could do again? They made a Happy Death Day too. I don't know. So who knows? Who really knows, right? The problem with me is I don't know if they gave enough for me to give a shit to have a sequel, especially if they're trying to continue with the same exact characters. I don't know. And this is like kind of a spoiler if you've seen this movie, but by the end of it, before they reveal it, I freaking thought I don't know if it was just me, but I thought I'm like, we're all in an escape room. Everyone in the world simultaneously playing an escape room. That's what's happening here. Ending is definitely gonna upset some people, and for me it was just kind of like, why don't you just try and finish the film strong, and then yeah. Overall, Escape Room is a cool idea and a decently enjoyable film that doesn't reach the same level of excitement of an actual escape room or the other films that it's inspired from, despite the wild, deathly turns that the film tries to throw at the audience. I'm gonna give this movie a 6 out of 10. Anyway, y'all, but that was my review for Escape Room, the first film I've seen for 2019. What did y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you interested in seeing this thing? Did the trailer just look like something else you've seen before? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. If anyone's wondering if they should go to the theaters and watch this. If you're just looking for some, you know, dumb fun, you've never been to an escape room before, you heard about it, maybe go check this thing out. You might enjoy it. Anyway, but that's gonna wrap up for this video, y'all. As always, if you enjoyed it, then be sure to smack that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. With that being said, I will see you all next time, y'all. Peace.